From all over the globe, we've compiled another list of fruits that'll leave you in awe. On this episode, we'll take a look at the top 10 fruits you've never heard of, part 6. Number 10, blood lime. The Australian blood lime is a hybrid lime developed as a salt-resistant crop. Normal limes are unsuitable for high salt conditions, but not the blood lime. This crimson-colored lime is a mix of a red finger lime and an Ellendale mandarin. The blood lime was commercially developed and hit Australian markets in 2004. They fruit every winter, sporting red flesh on the inside as well as red skin on the outside. Sometimes the skin on the outside is green like a normal lime but retains the same red flesh on the inside. Not only can the flesh be eaten of the blood lime but also the skin. Number 9, jackfruit. The jackfruit originates from Southeast Asia. This fruit, being the world's largest tree-borne fruit, can grow up to several feet or a meter long. A single jackfruit tree can produce up to 200 fruit a year, with the largest ones weighing in at 100 pounds or 45 kilograms. You wouldn't want to get hit in the head with that, probably best not to read a book under a jackfruit tree. Jackfruit was for the longest time eaten raw and sometimes cooked, specifically in curries, but more recently has become popular as a plant form of pulled pork, but instead pulled jackfruit. Recently, jackfruit has seen its way into flavors of ice cream, dehydrated jackfruit chips, and even jackfruit noodles. The seeds of jackfruit can be roasted and eaten as a starchy, satisfying treat as well. This delicious fruit has a unique taste unlike anything out there. The pod itself is soft and stringy, but has a crisp snap when you bite into it. The flavor is incredibly sweet. Flavors of pineapple, mango, papaya, and pear can all be detected in the bite of a jackfruit, but its flavor is really one of a kind. I should note here that there are different varieties of jackfruit. In general, a jackfruit tree will produce either a soft fruit or a firm fruit. Both are equally ripe but just have different textures when eating them. The hard variety of jackfruit can be found in Brazil, India, and Bali, among other places, where the soft variety, which I personally think tastes better, can be found in Thailand, India, Sri Lanka, and Hawaii. I don't typically put a lot of my own personal input into my videos and prefer to rely on the facts, but for this fruit I'll add my 2 cents. So first, out of all the random, bizarre, and weird fruits I've ever tried, as well as common everyday ones, jackfruit is my personal favorite. I find the soft-fleshed jackfruit to taste better and to be more enjoyable to eat. The best I've ever had is a special variety called ice cream jackfruit from Hawaii. It has a more white-colored flesh and tastes like jackfruit plus vanilla ice cream. There's a fruit stand that sells it in the northern shores of Oahu right there. For typical jackfruit, Thailand is among the best in the world. Malaysia also grows amazing jackfruit and has multiple different varieties. The best jackfruit though, as agreed upon by travelers, comes from Sri Lanka called Peniwaraka or honey jack. Jackfruit has been a staple food for some countries like India for at least the past 3,000 years. The wood of the tree is highly valuable too, as it is especially strong and resistant to termites. This fruit has among the highest sugar contents of any fruit, but also among the highest fiber content. If you really want to know what it tastes like, but don't know if you'll make your way over to Southeast Asia anytime soon, get yourself a pack of juicy fruit gum. Wrigley's got the flavor of juicy fruit gum from jackfruit. Number 8, goldenberry. This berry, known as Peruvian ground cherry or Cape gooseberry, is indigenous to western South America. These little berries grow in high altitude climates like Peru and Chile and come with a little paper lantern around them. This paper lantern is very similar to the ones found on tomatillos, which shouldn't surprise you as the goldenberry is closely related to the tomatillo. Traditionally speaking, the goldenberry is one typically found on Chinese desserts. Usually one berry is placed on top in the center of a cake. When it comes to taste, the initial bite of a goldenberry will have an explosion of juice followed by a bunch of seeds. The flavor starts off initially tart and sour, with the sweetness coming through afterwards. The berry is the size of a large blueberry with similar texture, just with a more firm outer casing and inner flesh. You should really try these refreshing little berries should you be presented the opportunity. Number 7, Dinosaur Plum. This plum is actually a plot, which is a mix of a plum and an apricot. This plot was developed by carefully breeding different plums and apricots until the dinosaur plum was discovered. These plots are a mix of 70% plum and 30% apricot. They taste very sweet and rich, with a flavor almost earthy. The flesh is very juicy and soft, with a distinct skin pattern that can vary quite a bit per dinosaur plum. This unique looking plum goes very well with ice cream, pancakes, yogurt, and with pretty much any breakfast cereal. Number 6, yellow watermelon. You wouldn't know it from the outside, but on the inside of this watermelon is yellow flesh. While still tasting like a watermelon, the yellow watermelon's flavor is a bit more light and fresh and sweet. Aside from small differences in taste and a slightly lighter outer shell, the yellow watermelon has a unique difference in the nutrients it contains. Yellow watermelon is one of the most effective foods on the planet for aiding erectile dysfunction. The extreme abundance of citrulline in this fruit is the reason why. Erectile dysfunction is caused by arterial blockages, but blood flow can be increased by excess nitric oxide, which is made from arginine, which can be produced by citrulline. So if you have this issue, all you need is one wedge of yellow watermelon per day. Too bad this fruit isn't all that common. Number 5. Red-fleshed apple. This bizarre apple naturally grows in Central Asia. Wild red-flesh apples from Kazakhstan don't taste all that great, but they're very healthy. They're full of antioxidants, which can usually be indicated by dark, deep, rich colors in fruit. A research team brought some of these apples back in the 1990s and have been breeding them with some of the delicious apples that we eat today. One Swiss grower, Marcus Kobelt, brought the Red Love red-fleshed apple to the European market in 2010. The red-fleshed apple comes in multiple varieties that range in color, including the pink pearl, obviously appearing more pink, Tauntaun crossed, another pinkish apple, Clifford, a brilliant red, and apricot apple, which has more of an orange color to it. These colored apples come with colored flowers as opposed to the typical white flower in a normal apple. With this variance in color also comes a variance in taste. Some tasting more sweet and others more tart. What makes this apple unique, aside from its inner color, is a tasty nuance of berry flavor that comes through. While we've only listed a few varieties of red-fleshed apples here today, there are actually well over 20 different varieties. Number 4. Pangium medul. This fruit that hails from Southeast Asia is one with a dangerous secret. This large fruit is poisonous to humans as they contain a nasty poison called hydrogen cyanide. Pangium medul, or the fruit that nauseates, can be consumed only after it's been boiled without its shell or soaked and buried with banana leaves and ash for 40 days. Weird combination, right? This fruit relies on the fact that the hydrogen cyanide released by the boiling and fermentation is water soluble and is easily washed out. During these 40 days, the fruit will change color from a creamy white to dark brown, then black. The kernels are often ground up and used to make a thick gravy called rawan. Failure to properly prepare this fruit can lead to sleepiness, headache, intoxication, or death. The taste of the Pangium medul is an acquired taste to say the least. It has flavors reminiscent of cacao, black olives, and mushrooms. Some claim the taste very closely resembles black truffles. You know, those expensive mushrooms that people dig out of the ground? Pangium medul doesn't just have the flesh of the fruit that can be consumed, but the seeds can be processed, which yields an almond-like tasting seed. Number 3. Golden melon. This superior variety of honeydew melon has a smooth exterior that is sweet and juicier than its normal counterpart. This variety originates from Langkawi, Malaysia, where they can grow these melons much faster than a normal one. They weigh typically up to 6.5 pounds or 3 kilograms and are praised for having an edible skin, unlike most other melons. The golden melon, when ripe, will give off the smell of a wild mango. They have a unique taste that's similar to honeydew, with notes of guava, apple, and watermelon to it. The flavor is quite complex, with a great deal of depth to it. Health-wise, the golden melon contains vitamin C, calcium, zinc, vitamin B6, magnesium, potassium, iron, and omegas 3 and 6. Over 90% of the golden melon is water, making it a highly hydrating fruit to eat. Number 2. Breadfruit. Bread what? Wait a sec, isn't this jackfruit? Nope, breadfruit, while similar in outer appearance, is nothing like jackfruit. Although, with that said, breadfruit is a species of flowering tree in the mulberry and jackfruit family. This fruit originates from the South Pacific, but has spread across the world to places like the Caribbean. If you examine this fruit closely, it's basically a jackfruit with no fruit pods inside, but instead you eat the spongy cushion inside. This fruit was named this for a good reason. The breadfruit oddly has the texture and taste of bread if prepared correctly. Breadfruit is one of the rare fruits that you should be cooking before consuming. When eating it raw, you should wait till it's overripe on the tree. It's basically the only time you want to eat this fruit raw. Cutting off the peel as well as the inner spongy part will leave you with a pillowy yellow flesh that is best prepared steamed. After the breadfruit comes out of the steam basket, it will be soft and fluffy like a loaf of bread. The texture while eating it is like eating a fluffy yet dense bread. The taste is somewhat neutral with a very much wheat-like quality to it. When eating this fruit alone by itself, you'll detect a slight taste of potato to it. This dense fruit is high in calories and vitamins. Copper, potassium, B vitamins, and most notably vitamin C are ever present with every bite. If you or someone you know is celiac or gluten intolerant and are sick of bad tasting dense gluten-free breads, then breadfruit is the solution. Looking at the macronutrient breakdown of the breadfruit, it fits more in the starch category with rice, potatoes, and bread than it does in the fruit category. Number 1. Bilimbi fruit. Tree sorrel, cucumber tree, or bilimbi fruit are common names for this bizarre fruit. Hailing from Indonesia and Malaysia, the bilimbi fruit is a small yellowish-green fruit that will shock your taste buds. A single bite will yield a very juicy and overwhelmingly sour experience that will leave your face puckered. The juice of the bilimbi has a high concentration of oxalic acid, which can be quite useful for bleaching and cleaning, which is why it's typically not eaten raw but used in cooking. Soups, curries, sauces, desserts, and drinks all benefit from bilimbi's sour flavor. It seems every part of the bilimbi tree can be used to cure some illness, let alone the fruit itself is used to control internal bleeding, fever, and inflammation. The bilimbi tree is cherished by small communities in Southeast Asia for everything it brings them. These trees can grow up to 32 feet or 10 meters tall, which bilimbi fruit will grow almost randomly off the trunk of the tree in the hundreds. Another fruit to try if you're in the region, but maybe get a local to prepare you a dish instead of eating one raw. Which one of these fruits do you guys want to add to your bucket list? Let us know down in the comments below.